really needed to do this today, although I'm not, well, I've seen it far too much now. I see it in all the skits. I see a lot of skits about this. I've also seen it in the streets, which is why I really needed to talk about it, where parents are gender rolling their children, making boys be boys and girls be girls, where then boys have to wear boys' colours and girls' colours. You know, it's ridiculous, and it's projecting. When parents force their boys to wear blues and greens and any other kind of colours that they believe are boys' colours, and make them do things like play with cars or trucks and play football and rough games, and they're not allowed to play with dolls and Barbies and role play mummies and daddies, or when they dress up they're not allowed to put dresses on or whatever. They have to put the macho, prince's dress up on. When you're projecting all of that onto your children, because then they say that the girls have to wear the princess dresses and the girls have to play with the Barbies and the dollies, and they have to play mummies, and they have to do the cooking, and they have to pretend to do the housework. And they can only play in the garden if they're doing the work, if they're picking the flowers and doing all the dainty things. They're not allowed to run around and get dirty because they're girls. You're, as a parent, all you're doing is projecting your own insecurities and your own fears onto your children. And it's wrong, because you're living in the past. We got past, society got past this whole gender role thing long time ago, 15 odd years ago, beginning of the 2000s, when I had my son. We had stopped gender rolling children, and we had stopped gender rolling toys. People had stopped saying that dollies and buggies and trucks and rough play and football were boys' things and girls' things. They were all became gender neutral. Boys could play with dollies, they could play daddies, they were allowed to just sit and play and pick flowers, and girls were allowed to play rough and football and play with the cars and the trucks and the trains. They would become gender neutral, and all of the colours were gender neutral too. They had stopped genderising everything. They become gender neutral. The toys, the colours, everything. It actually became a thing at one point where they gender reversed it all, where pink became a boy colour for a while. It didn't last long, but they then gender neutralised it all, so that nobody could say it was a girl colour or a boy colour. And now we've gone backwards, and parents are projecting all their fears and all their insecurities about the genders onto their children, so that the next generation grows up with the same fears and insecurities that we had back in the 80s and the 90s about the genders, where the mums were stay-at-home mums and the dads never interacted with their kids and just went to work and came home expecting the mum to have done it all. and society to take a step backwards. You can't turn around to your children and say, well, I'm really sorry, but I'm your parent, I'm insecure, I have fears, I have doubts, I'm going to project them all onto you. It's not the way to parent. Our job as parents is to make sure our kids are the best versions of themselves, even if that kid turns out to be the best male florist in town, or the best male child carer, or the best female footballer in the country, or the best female, I don't know, astronaut in the world. You know, or they could even go the other way and they might not even want to be that ambitious, and they might just want to work in an office, or they might want to be park attendants, or they might want to be architects, or they might just be fashion designers. And they could be either gender. You might get a female lawyer. Your daughter might be the best lawyer in town. Your son might just be the greatest park attendant and fashion designer, and he might be doing 2 jobs just because he can. And your son and my son, he could end up a stay-at-home dad. You know, you might end up with a lot more single dads in the world than we do single mums. Because the way the world is going right now, mums are getting more and more ambitious. Women are becoming more ambitious. They want to work more. They want to be more involved at work. So you might end up with a lot more single dads in the world, or stay-at-home dads. And your kid, your son, might just be one of them. You never know. While your daughter has a kid and becomes a high-flying lawyer, while her husband becomes a stay-at-home dad. You never know. You can't just say roles are roles and this is how the world works. It's time we changed. It's time we joined. You can't project your own fears. You can't project your own fears onto your children because you're afraid of change. That is not your kid's fault. It's not. It's not your kid's fault that you're afraid to change. So you, as parents, need to deal with your issues so you can raise your children the right way to change the world, to make it better for everybody, so that men and women can join together and have a much better future, more equal future. We as parents need to teach our children how to be the best version of them, not how to be a more insecure and scared version of us. So stop gender rolling your children. Stop projecting your fears and insecurities onto them, because all you're going to end up doing is making your kids as afraid and insecure and incompetent as you are. Your kids are going to grow up with your fears, your insecurities, and they're not going to be the best version of themselves. They're going to be a projection of you as parents. And that is not your job. If that happens, to your kids, you failed as parents. So stop it right now. Deal with your issues. We can do it. There's a lot of help out there for us as parents, men and women, mothers and fathers. There's a lot of help out there. And raise your kids to be the best version of themselves, whether they be florists, child carers, stay-at-home parents, high-flying lawyers. Fucking, I don't care what they become. I don't care what they become. As long as they're the best version of them and not just a projection of us as parents. No. Needs to change before these kids grow up. Anyway, I'm gonna go because, yeah, I gotta go.